Hey, what's up guys? As you can tell, it's raining, it's thundering, the weather's crap, but I wanted to make a video. And so I'm here, I'm walking, and I figured, might as well get out and just get on with it. GoPro's waterproof, who should be fine. You'll get struck by lightning. Then we'll make the trending page. So today, talked about movies. I've talked about, actually I haven't talked about video games next. That's next week. Video games next week, I promise. I want to give a list of 5 books that I have really enjoyed and that I would highly recommend anybody, whether you're an avid reader or somebody who doesn't care so much about reading books. These are 5 books, or in one case an author, that you should go check out regardless of your enthusiasm for the written word. So without further ado, let's jump into it. Starting with number 1, my favorite author of all time, Bill Bryson. Bill Bryson is a comedic author, I guess you'd call him. Wipe that off a little bit again. He's written columns, he's written books. A couple of my favorites are In a Sunburned Country, where he travels around Australia. A Walk in the Woods. Oh, the rain's getting worse. Where him and one of his best friends go hike the Appalachian Trail, which leads to some amazing antics. And then he has a book that's a collection of columns that he wrote, I believe, for The Guardian. Don't quote me, probably wrong on that one. But it's called I'm a Stranger Here Myself, and that's probably my favorite book, and it was the first one I really got into. It was kind of the book that really got me into reading books. So if you're a new reader, not an avid reader, just want something to maybe try your feet at, highly recommend Bryson. Number 2, Rainbow Six. So we're gonna get into Rainbow Six again next week. But Tom Clancy wrote a book called Rainbow Six about the formation of a special operations group called Rainbow, and their leader of the team, or the head of the organization, their 6, John Clark. Great book, ties in with the whole Clancy universe, and if you ever wondered how Rainbow Six got its start, or you just want a cool, like, I don't know, like part spy, part military, part just personal storybook, excellent. It is a little long. I would absolutely recommend, if you're not a big fan of reading, and especially if you have an Audible subscription, the audiobook is fantastic. It's long to listen to, but hey, it'll get you through a couple of commutes or a long trip. But I highly recommend Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six. I'm just almost falling all over the place. So I had Bryson, had that. We're kind of losing the track of the numbers. We'll go with number 3 for this one. My number 3 recommendation is a book that I'm just reading right now called American Desperado, that chronicles the story of John Roberts, which, if you've ever seen the documentary Cocaine Cowboys, you're very familiar with who this is. And if you haven't watched Cocaine Cowboys, go do it. It's about cocaine trade in Miami and how it both built that city and kind of killed that city at the same time. At least killed the morality of that city. Bing. Okay. So yeah, this book basically just chronicles John Roberts and his exploits, how he got into it, and how it's kind of like the untold story of the Cocaine Cowboys. Not untold, that's the wrong way to put it. It's basically like additional reading for Cocaine Cowboys. So I'm crossing this right now. Whoop. Okay, check, done. Got my Indiana Jones in today. Okay, so John Roberts wrote that book with an additional writer who fact-checked a lot of the stories, so Super, super good read. It's very long because it chronicles like, I don't know, like 40 years of criminal life plus. But I would highly recommend. Great read. And you'll hear some stuff that if you're not a head of a criminal organization or leading a major drug trafficking operation, you'd never know about, you'd never hear. But it is definitely worth your time. And that's American Desperado. Number 4 is the kind of best gateway drug for science fiction books, and just a general great kind of entry book. Starting to rain a little harder now. Ready Player One. So if you haven't read Ready Player One or don't know what Ready Player One is, it's a great science fiction book that kind of chronicles what would happen if VR became the standard way people interact and live their life. It's a dystopian novel, great characters. It is around a teenage character, and a lot of the references are like 80s and maybe early 90s in some cases. So if you're not from the millennial / Gen X generation, your mileage may vary with this book, but overall it's a great read. It's a super fast read. I cooked through it in like 7 hours. And once you're done reading, you can go watch, almost ate it. You can go watch the Steven Spielberg movie, which isn't half bad. I know a lot of people didn't like it, but I thought they did a great job of capturing the world in a visual medium, because a lot of the stuff in the book can't be captured the way it is, can't be shown visually the way it is. So, I don't know, I'm giving up with the numbers. Another book recommendation is gonna be, it's called The Driver. And this is another one of those books that really kind of got me interested in reading. It's a book by Alex Roy, which most of you probably have no idea who it is. And the people who do probably have already read this book. But it's a book about how Alex Roy, who's just a business guy from New York City, who happens to have a strong interest in cars, got into setting the cannonball record across the US, which he held for a couple of years until Ed Bullion, who runs the VinWiki YouTube channel, which link in the description, later beat. But he crossed the country, I think it was like 32 hours, 7 minutes, which is insane. He drove from New York City to Santa Monica real fast. Okay, had to get under that tree. So yeah, The Driver's a great book. It's an easy read. It's a pretty quick read. It's a good kind of father and son story. And you get to see into a little bit of how Alex Roy prepared and executed his cross-country adventure. This has been a mess of a day. As you can see, it's pouring rain. I keep having to wipe off the lens. I fell earlier, my pants covered in dirt. But we're out here getting it. So yeah, those are my current recommendations. Those are kind of the books that are really suiting my fancy right now. There are a ton of obvious recommendations for books, especially for people who may not already be into reading. Obviously, like, I'm a huge Harry Potter fan. The Harry Potter books are excellent. Even though they're not canon anymore, there's a bunch of really good Star Wars books. Actually, one more bonus recommendation. There's a Star Wars book called From Another Perspective, where a lot of people who have, a lot of writers specifically that have some association with Star Wars, like Gary Whitta, who wrote Rogue One. I think he wrote a couple of Clone Wars episodes. Maybe it was Rebels episodes. But he wrote a section of the book, and it's basically taking another perspective look at some of the events in Star Wars. Like, say, from the Imperials, or like a random contractor on the Death Star. It's a really unique way to look at Star Wars, and it's a great book. highly, highly recommend it. And if you're looking for a read and you're a Star Wars fan or you're a sci-fi fan, go check it out. Available on Kindle, the rest of that, anywhere books are sold. And one last bonus recommendation. This is an audiobook recommendation. Oh, actually, one other quick thing. All of the Bill Bryson books, the audiobooks are read by Bill Bryson, and he is a fantastic reader and would highly... Oh, this is just ridiculous. I highly recommend listening to his audiobooks because they're just, he does a great job. But my audiobook recommendation is Harry Potter. While I love reading those books, Jim Dale deserves an Emmy or a Grammy. I don't know what award he can win for reading those books. He did a fantastic performance. And honestly, it's one of my favorite audiobooks to listen to in general. So if you don't want to read Harry Potter, or if you just love Harry Potter, go check out the audiobooks. My recommendation. So I'm gonna start heading back now because I am soaked. I'm feeling kind of gross. I'm wet. And that's all for this week. So back on Monday, going to see Avengers tonight. And I will fill you in on how I did with my predictions on what was going to happen. Hopefully I'm surprised. Hope it's great. Early reviews, I guess, are pretty positive, so kind of excited. So let's end this now, and I will see you all on Monday. As always, like, follow, subscribe. Peace. Bye.